Hey, it is 12 o'clock on Friday, which means it's time for this week's episode of State of Real Estate. Myself, John Carisso, on behalf of the Tampa School of Real Estate, we come to you, into your homes, into your mobile devices, into your computers, into all your little gadgetry to come to you to help you understand topics that's going to take your business to the next level. That's what we're focused on Fridays, is what can we do to get our business to the next level. You know, almost looking back on the week, looking back on this previous week, these past 5 days, these past 4 days, maybe the past 7 or 14 or 30 days, if you've been working nonstop, out there grinding and hustling, doing what you got to do to grow your business. Today we're talking about staying focused. How to stay focused, why you need to stay focused. We're going to talk about little tactical strategies you can implement to increase your focus. And really, we're just today all about focus. Last week, we did a phenomenal episode. We got a great response on that about staying motivated. And these two kind of go hand in hand with each other very, very closely. With motivation, we talk, the motivation that's kind of more so the why. And once you get that motivation, once you kind of understand that why you need to be doing something, why you need to be doing certain things, that's what the motivation is. Understanding the why behind it, so you have the fuel to actually do this. So, I mean, and let's take this car metaphor, for example, here. So let's say we got the car. The motivation, that's our fuel. You don't get any motivation, your vehicle's not going to have any fuel to push itself forward. So with our car, the fuel is the motivation. Well, what the focus is the person controlling the steering wheel there. I mean, if you don't have somebody controlling the steering wheel, controlling where the car's going, you're never going to get to your destination. So I mean, and that's really the reason why you need to develop and cultivate your focus, so you can kind of have that laser pinpoint precision to get you to your end goal, where you want to be, as quick as possible. Let's take another example. Again, we'll use this car example. And let's say you need to go to the grocery store. If you still go to the grocery store, if you're not using grocery delivery, I should send out my Instacart little login thing, the invite thing. They keep saying they're going to give me money for inviting people. I'm like, people aren't about that. Not about the grocery delivery life. But let's say you are going to the grocery store. You're going to some sort of establishment that you need to actually get to. You need to go pick up groceries at Publix or whatever grocery store it is you guys have around you, probably Publix because they're pretty much everywhere, at least southeast. So you're trying to get to Publix. If you want to get to Publix as fast as possible, you're going to go straight to Publix. You're not going to stop along the way and drive by a park and say, oh, check out this park here. Let me go wander into this park for a little bit, sit in my car and watch what's going on here at the park. Yeah, that's a little bit creepy, but I mean, that's obviously counterintuitive and counterproductive to getting where you need to be, getting to that grocery store. And this is once you start getting maybe on a busier street, you're driving down like something like down Mabry or one of these roads where there's just businesses and stores every which way you look. And when you're driving down these streets and you see all these advertisements coming at you, you see a billboard for a movie. I mean, yeah, if you go stop and go watch that movie from that billboard, you're never going to get to the grocery store. So people understand this for if you're trying to get to the grocery store, if you're trying to get to a Publix or a Target or Walmart or you got to go to some place, you maybe got to pick up a new pair of glasses or wherever it is that you're going to get something done. If you want to get that done as quick as possible, you're going to go straight there. You're going to avoid any sort of distractions that could kind of hit you along the way. You might see something, you say, oh, that could be nice, but I got things to do. So, I mean, it's crazy. People are very intentional about going to the grocery store, but now when it comes to their business and growing and developing themselves and growing their career and growing their business, they get hit all the time with these distractions, these things that take away from the focus. And now, this driving to the grocery store, this isn't really the best example because, I mean, unless you've got like tiny little goals, little tiny goals that really don't that are the equivalent of driving to the grocery store, something you could accomplish in an hour, we got to take that and we've got to stretch it out now over a much longer period. Imagine this grocery store you've got to get to is across the country. You got to drive cross country all the way from Florida to California, or maybe all the way through Canada up to Alaska, and that's how you get to the grocery store. And even that's not even a proper example of what we're talking about with some of these more long-term goals and whatnot. But you think about it on this micro level. You want to get there quickly. You can't stop at the park. You can't stop at some other business or some other place. You can't stop at Busch Gardens or Disney World when you're trying to get to the grocery store. You just got to go to the grocery store, do what you need to do, and just make that drive. But now when we're talking about these long-term goals here, there's a lot of things that come in on a daily basis. So first off, what this comes down to, because we're going to get into the how, and I want to make this episode really a lot about like the how and what you could implement in your business, in your life, really, because this isn't even just applicable in business, let alone just real estate business. This is applicable everywhere in anyone's life, because I'm sure you have something you want to get done that whether it's something with growing your business, maybe making some calls to people, maybe going on some appointments or whatever it is that you need to do. There's so many ways you could implement this staying focused in your life. So we're going to be talking about the how to stay focused. And first and foremost, and again, I'm going to use this grocery store a lot because this is a really simple way to put it. And I hope everybody on here understands, if you need to get to the grocery store, you're just going to go to the grocery store. But now where the problem lies with this, and some of this will go back to not being motivated. So if you need some help with the motivation and things like that, go back and watch last week's episode. You can watch that on the Facebook here, on the YouTube, on our Success Center, wherever it is that you're watching the live stream. Go back and watch our previous episodes we did last week, how to stay motivated. And that's really a prerequisite, because if you don't have any motivation, you don't get any fuel in your vehicle. So you got to be motivated first and foremost. Now, let's say you don't know you need to go to the grocery store. How are you going to get to the grocery? How do you expect to get to the grocery store when you don't even know you need to go to the grocery store? So that goes back, and I touched on this last week with the staying motivated side of this. You have to know, number one, what it is that endpoint actually is. If you don't know where it is you're going, how are you going to get there? You might be able to kind of wander your way through and eventually make it to where you want to be. But if there's a certain part of your life, a certain place that you want to be, a certain point that you want to be at in your life, if you can't clearly define what that looks like and understand that end goal, what that grocery store, what that end goal, that final end of the maze is going to look like, you're going to spend a lot of time wandering and trying to getting there. So first and foremost, you got to understand why staying focused is important. And there's so much stuff out there. I hate multitasking. I absolutely hate multitasking. It's the most ineffective thing you could ever do. If you're trying to do something else while you're doing one thing, you're going to end up with two things that just turn out terrible. If you want to get something done quickly, effectively, and make it the best you can be, you have to stay focused on that one thing. The more you get pulled into other directions with here and here and here and here, the more it's going to slow down your finishing of that product, of whatever it is that you're trying to create, or whatever it is that you're trying to do, whatever task it is you're trying to accomplish. The more you get pulled away from that, the harder it is to actually accomplish that goal. So you got to stay laser pinpointed focused on what it is, where that endpoint actually needs to be, what it is that you're trying to get to, and then figure out how you could go straight there without getting pulled away by distractions. Now, I've got a lot of talking points planned for you guys today, and if any point you guys have questions on this, or even better, if you've got some sort of obstacle you're trying to overcome, or you're having some problem staying focused, put that in the comments. I've got the YouTube chats loaded up. I've got the Facebook chats loaded up. I've got them both here. I'm going to be refreshing a couple times because sometimes I like to hide the comments from me if you guys are sending that in on here. So make sure you send those in so I can help you guys out and make this an episode that's really connecting with our live viewers that we're watching right now. I'm live. There's like a 7-second delay from what the words coming out of my mouth to showing up in the speakers on your phone. So let me know what you guys think, and also share. Sharing is caring. Share the stream, share the dream. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, we're going to focus more on this how to stay focused, what it is that you can implement in your daily life to stay focused. Let me know what questions you guys have in the comments while the commercials are playing, or watch the commercials, whatever you want to do. Just don't go anywhere. I'm John Chrismo. You're watching State of Real Estate. Tampa 10 years ago is nothing like Tampa today. It's changed dramatically over those years, and that's what's really transitioned this to be the number one healthiest housing market in the entire nation.
Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
Hey, if you like the show today, be sure to hit like and subscribe and post your comments. Thanks so much for watching. Tampa 10 years ago is nothing like Tampa today. It's changed dramatically. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of State of Real Estate. Every Friday, we come into your phone, into your computer, into your tablet, into your TV screen. You got the YouTube app on whatever smart TV thing it is you got. You can watch me on the big screen, see me in full life size, maybe even larger than life. You know, maybe you're fine with me on the computer screen and just hearing me. I know I could be a little bit much sometimes. Anyways, this is State of Real Estate. Every Friday, 12 noon Eastern time, we come to you to help you grow mastermind, not just your business. We're talking about your life today, how to take your life to where you want to be. Now, if you're happy with where your life is right now, you probably don't need to watch a video, a live stream on staying focused. But I'm sure even if you are happy with your life right now, you might be wondering how to get more out of it. And maybe you're not happy with your life right now, but you're still probably trying to figure out how to get more out of it. So thank you guys for tuning in today. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for liking. And thank you for sending in all of the comments and questions that you guys are sending in here. Yeah, we're definitely plugging some stuff on this. You know, we always got to be plugging stuff. We got to make sense of doing this show somehow. I mean, primarily we're here for you, the viewers, to help you guys out and whatnot. But as you can see, there's advertisements and whatnot. So full disclosure, those are advertisements. Anyways, we got a question here from Logan. What's the one biggest tip you would give for somebody staying focused? And I love this kind of what's the one thing, because ultimately there are multiple things. There's really millions of things you could do to stay focused, millions of things that you could be doing to stay focused. And there's 1,001, 1,000,001, a billion different ways to stay focused, but I like coming up with the one thing. You know, I tell people all the time when they're, for the real estate course, so this is one of the one things that, and I'm really proud of this one thing that I tell people when they're trying to pass their exam. If you don't remember it from the course, that's not going to be your answer, because everything on that exam is supposed to be taught in the course. So you don't remember it from the course, then that's not going to be your answer for the exam. And I love that one thing, because that one thing is very powerful. So going back to Logan's question we got right here, the biggest tip you could give us for staying focused. So the biggest tip I would give you for staying focused is not, so it's almost multi-part. So this isn't a really like simple one thing, but it is just one thing. So number one, you got to know what that end goal is. That's the first and foremost. Know what it is that you want to get to there. But what you also don't want to do is you don't want to focus a whole lot on that end goal. You got to know where you're going. But when you're driving to Publix, I'm going to use this driving to Publix example this whole episode here, so get used to it. You're driving to Publix, you're not going to be visualizing in your head the Publix and what it looks like on the outside and how great the Publix is. No, you're thinking about, I got to go here, I got to do this. But what you might be thinking about is why you're going to this point. How that going to Publix is going to change your life. How achieving this goal is going to change your life, and what it is that you're going to do here. So you're going to basically be thinking about buying this bread or water or coffee or whatever it is that you need to survive, and what you're going to Publix for in the first place here, the fruits, the vegetables, the meats, all that other stuff. You're thinking about what nourishment and maybe what you're going to cook and prepare with all this stuff here. So don't get hung up, and let's try to make this a little bit less like basic here. Let's say you're talking about what you want to achieve with your career or business, and there's a big thing about staying focused, about, maybe setting your wallpaper as some sort of like exotic car or some sort of yacht or some sort of house that you want, or maybe building yourself out a dream board or something like that. And I'll be honest with you, I've done these things before, but I don't do these things anymore. I've got some cool pictures on my wallpaper on my computer. I think they're of like Hawaii or something like that, and maybe some like the stock ones that Mac gives me. But ultimately, I just like that's just visually pleasing. I'm not putting those pictures there because that's where I want a goal or anything like that. And I almost cringe when I see people like with the exotic car things, because I've been there, I've done that. I've made the dream board thing with the the fancy cars, the yachts, the fancy houses, and all that other stuff on there. But what would happen, and this is maybe just something with me, is I would get distracted. And that's the equivalent of pulling over to stop on the side of the road for whatever reason when you're on the way to the grocery store. It's going to slow you down from achieving that end goal it is that you want. So I would get focused. I would see that picture and I'd be like, oh, let me see if they got a new version of this car out this year, or let me see what the new version is going to look like. Let me go read a blog article about what this car is going to look like with this new model that coming out and this concept that's coming out. So I would get hung up on the things there, and I'd be living in a fantasy world. I wouldn't be doing the necessary actions because I'd be thinking too much about that end goal. So you got to know what that end goal is. Going back to Logan's question, I know this is a long-winded kind of simple thing here, but going back to his question, you got to know where it is that you're going, but don't get hung up on that end goal. Just focus on what you have to do today to get you there. So to the one thing I would say here is, and it's really two things, because you got to know where you're going first and foremost. If you don't know where you're going, then there's no way to stay focused. The focus is bringing all your power towards pushing it in one direction. So you got to know where it is that you're going, but then also every single day you have to be revisiting what you need to be doing that day to help push you towards your goal. You know what that goal is, but you're not focusing on the goal. You're not focusing on what type of yacht you should buy. You're focusing on how am I going to get the money to go buy that yacht, or how am I going to get the money to go buy that fancy car. And that's why, like I said, I can't even put that stuff like on like anywhere that I see that, because I'll see that and I'll get distracted. And a big part of staying focused, of corralling your energy and pushing it into that direction you want to go, is not getting distracted. And we live in a world of distractions, whether it's advertisements, social media, even things that are proactive, that can help you out. I mean, there's such thing as too much of a good thing to a certain extent. So even just not doing the necessary actions that you're doing can be a huge detriment to that. So again, to sum this up, because I want to make this easy, I want to make this simple, is that you've got to know what you need to be doing today to achieve that end goal. And that's the one thing I would say, if I could bring this down to just one sentence, I could say the one thing, if you guys are watching this right now and you're about to tune in or tune out of this here, the one thing I would tell you is just make sure what you're doing today is pushing you towards that goal. You know what actions you need to take today to get you to that end goal so you could focus your energy together. Got another question in here from Josh Smith. Lead follow-up is the hardest part for me. So many leads and I have to send out so many quality MLS searches. Then I'm showing homes and so on. Yeah, so I mean, even these distractions, and Josh, I'm glad you brought up this question. That's why I love the live comments that we could do here, because this helps kind of channel this into, I mean, we're almost kind of brainstorming together here and ultimately turning this into a better show. So Josh raises such a valid point here. Josh is saying basically that, hey, I have to do these money-making activities, but I'm getting distracted by other money-making activities. And this is such a huge misunderstanding that a lot of people have. And this is kind of like if you heard of you're not doing anything productive, you're just being busy. And Josh, I'm sure you're a rock star and you're out there rocking and rolling and you're doing everything you can to focus and hone your energy together. So I'm not saying this specifically about you or anything like that, but you got to be careful that you're not just being busy, because when you have these searches going on that you're trying to do and you're following up with people and you have to do that, and you also have to show clients homes and all these other things, and you know what, maybe your phone just rings, maybe you got to pick up the phone and answer some calls, and don't not pick up the phone. Don't let that go to voicemail, because they probably won't even leave a voicemail. They'll go calling somebody else. But again, you've got one money-making activity pulling you away from another money-making activity. You're being pulled in these different directions. So maybe you're on your way to Publix. You're on your way to Publix and you see a farmer's market stand. and you stop at this farmer's market stand. But here's the thing, you don't know about this farmer's market stand. You don't know if this farmer's market stand even has what it is that you're looking for there. It might, but you got to be careful about going in here and making sure you're not getting distracted from getting to your end goal. So yeah, don't ever, answer your phone every single time by the second ring. If you're letting your phone ring more than 2 times, people are like, well, why is this guy not picking up his phone? When I call somebody and it's ringing and it's ringing and it's ringing, I'm wondering, and I've got a short attention span. I'm wondering if am I calling a phone that even has a voicemail? Should I just keep letting it ring? And I get so many calls where I don't get a voicemail. And I'm sure a lot of professionals out there are in that same boat. So if you're not answering the phone, you're throwing money away right there. Yeah, it might be some sort of telemarketer that you don't want to talk to. Usually when I hang up, they're not calling me back. I've had a few times where I've had some aggressive telemarketers that have given me a call, and I've just hung up on them, and they say, hey, I guess we got disconnected. I'm like, yeah, I guess we did, but yeah, I don't want what you're selling, and to hang up again. And then they get the idea, but minimal time out of my day. But now when you get the phone calls that are actual money-making activity, and so Josh, he's got a very specific question about specifically with real estate, and that's what we're here for. This is State of Real Estate. We're here to grow your real estate business primarily. So what I would recommend, and this is what I tell a lot of new agents. I work with a lot of new agents. The brokerage I'm with, we specialize in working with new agents, and I get a lot of questions from new agents of what they could be doing, because especially when you're first starting out, there's a lot of unknowns, and so ultimately, the thing where they could ultimately solve this is you've got a massive team of people. One person's only job is answering the calls, and you've got so many calls coming in that all they need to do is answer calls. You've got so many showings you need to do. You've got so many people to do the showings, and you've got this massive scaled out type of business. But getting to that point is the tricky part. And even when you're at that point, that's still pretty tricky too. But getting to that point where you're doing this all as a one-man type of show here, you got to be tactical and very strategic about how you're handling your time to make sure you're focusing your energy. So maybe when you were a kid, you had like a magnifying glass. You took that magnifying glass and you kind of, took the sun's rays, the massive power of the sun, and you use that magnifying glass to take that and focus the power of the sun onto a very small pinpoint. And you could start a fire doing that. And you watch some survival shows and whatnot, they'll tell you, okay, yeah, I could probably take my glasses here and use that to start some sort of fire. I don't know if I'm that blind to where it'll do that, but who knows. Focusing on this energy, what you're doing with that magnifying glass is you're taking all these sun's rays, you're catching them here for however big that magnifying glass is, and what it's doing is it's pushing them together. And that's what especially if you're a more energetic person, when you focus what it is that you're doing, you're taking that immense power it is that you have and focusing it all into one kind of pinpoint. And that's very powerful. That turns the sun, which might give you a little bit of a burn because the sun is very powerful. But you're not going to get a burn until you're out there for at least maybe 45 minutes, an hour. Even then maybe you start to just get a little bit red. Who knows? Maybe you've got a much better complexion than me and you're able to stay out on the sun for hours and not get affected by it. But you take that magnifying glass and you focus the power of that sun into a pinpoint. And we're talking a magnifying glass, like that big. So we're just taking a very, very, very small fraction of that power, but focusing it really just kind of 1,000x's that power, where now we've got something really dangerous that we're working with here. And that's what happens when you're able to focus your abilities and focus your power into a single pinpoint. So what I want to talk about now, again, going back to this, it kind of got off on a tangent there. So let's talk about real estate specific here. What can you do when you've got to follow up with people and you've got to show clients and you've got your phone ringing and you've got all these things going on, and how is it that you keep track of all this? Because this is great if you're in this situation, you've got so many money-making activities taking up your time, so that you're already ahead of the game by not getting distracted by Facebook or advertising that you're seeing online, or you're not getting distracted by telemarketers. You're not sitting there and listening to their pitch. You're just hanging up on them like you should have, because you don't need to waste your time for something you're probably not even going to buy. So when you've already got your time taken up with money-making activities and getting to that point where all you're doing is assisting clients, taking phone calls, pushing out new ads, and all kinds of things like that that are actually attributing to actually growing your business and generating income. When you've got all of that going on, now it's all money-making activities, but unless you're able to focus what it is that you're doing and get that power brought down to that small level so you can push forward very quickly. And that's where you got to, in the phone, you can never really predict when the phone, you can to a certain extent. You're not going to get phone calls at like 3 in the morning or 1 in the morning or anything like that, but most people are sleeping then. So something that I do, and I'll be honest with you, I don't do this every day because this is hard to do every day. When you get a routine about it, I could usually get a pretty good spurt of this every now and then, but get yourself up earlier in the morning. So you've got 2 options really. You get up earlier in the morning or you stay up later at night. You get yourself out there outside of normal business hours. I like the morning side of this. And waking up at like 5 a.m., 4:30 a.m. because when I do that, my girlfriend's not even awake yet. So the world is like turned off at this point. When you're beating the sun up like this, the world is still turned off. Everybody else is sleeping and in their beds. And what you could be doing here, this is where you could take that time to focus your energy on maybe some of these tasks that you can't get distracted with. So some of these things it is that you need to do that when you get distracted, it pushes you away from it. So going back to Josh and what he's saying here, so he's got follow-ups. Definitely don't follow up with somebody at 5 in the morning. That's maybe a little bit too early. We'll talk about how you could kind of hack that in a little bit. But let's see here, sending out MLS searches. So let's say that you're trying to locate properties for these clients here. And that's something you could definitely absolutely do in the morning here. Or maybe it's something that you're trying to reach out with new clients and you're trying to do that in the morning as well. We'll talk about how you could do that because there's a lot that's so productive when you're here in the morning. I mean, you'll be tired at first, but look, if you're tired, I'll give you 2 tips right here. If you're tired that early in the morning, number 1, drink yourself a big glass of water. Get yourself something at least this big, full of water. I'm talking like 10, 12 ounces of water and just chug that because it's amazing how dehydrated you are first thing in the morning like that. When you first wake up, think about it. Unless you're waking up in the middle of the night to get something to drink, you've gone probably 6, 7, 8 hours without any fluid coming into your body. So when you first wake up in the morning, you're completely dehydrated. And you say, well, what does that have to do with me feeling sleepy? Well, what happens when you don't drink water? If you notice during the daytime, you start feeling groggy, you start feeling sleepy, you drink some water, you'll fix that. Because one of the first signs of dehydration is lethargy. And is feeling out of it and feeling sleepy and tiredness. That's when you're dehydrated, that's what happens, and that's what's happening in the morning. So you want to get yourself earlier and you want to get yourself up out of bed, drink yourself a big, nice glass of water, a tumbler of water, get yourself hydrated. That's number 1. And then number 2, you want to get the blood flowing so you can kind of speed that up. So that way, once you've got that water in your body, it's flowing out and getting oxygen and rehydrating your body. So just do like some jumping jacks or maybe if you don't want to do jumping jacks because you don't like to move around, maybe just kind of like do some high steps or do something to kind of get the blood flowing, get your heart rate elevated just a little bit. That's the goal here. So number 1, get hydrated. Number 2, elevate your heart rate a little bit. And now all of a sudden it's amazing how awake you're going to feel. Way better than what any coffee could do or anything like that because now you're not getting like crashes or anything like that. And if you're starting to feel groggy again, you're probably just dehydrated. So get yourself hydrated, get that blood pumping, get your heart rate up a little bit. And I'm not talking like, and what I usually do in the morning a lot is I'll go and work out, and that's great for getting the blood pumping. But if you want to just focus on getting some work done, just spend like 2 or 3 minutes, drink your water, get your blood pumping. It's amazing how quickly you'll wake up. Throw some cold water on your face if you need to, because that'll help as well. But use that time to maybe do these MLS searches and use that time for the projects that you have that take a lot of the mental power. So especially when you start branching off into things that are brand new, or maybe you're trying to get your broker's license or upgrade your license or something like that, and it's very hard. Maybe you're working on an online course. Maybe you're trying to get your real estate license and you can't find time to actually work on it or anything. That morning's a great time because that's interrupted. Your phone's not going to ring between 5 and 6 and even 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. Up until 8 o'clock, you're probably not going to get any phone calls coming in from people. So, I mean, if you're just getting up at 5 a.m. and just working through until 8 a.m., that's 3 hours you've got right there that you've added to your day. You could do this at night as well if you're more of a night owl and you're saying there's no way I'm going to be able to wake up at 5 a.m. but you got to be careful here because you'll start feeling tired. And I'm the morning person myself. I'm the one that wakes up at 5 a.m. I mean, sometimes I'm in his bed as early as 9 a.m., so I'm like a 90-year-old man in that sense there. But if you're a night owl, there's all kinds of things you can do as well to keep yourself up at night. But whatever it is that you got to do, find these times when you won't get these distractions coming in. So that's absolutely what I would recommend if you've got these projects and these things it is that you need to work on to push yourself forward. We're going to talk about some more to help gear up your business and get yourself focused and actually make yourself productive and efficient. Send in your comments, questions, and concerns and problems and heartaches and pains and whatever it is we could help you with here on State of Real Estate. I'm John Chrismo. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back after this commercial break. Tampa 10 years ago is nothing like Tampa today. It's changed dramatically over those years, and that's what's really transitioned this to be the number one healthiest housing market in the entire nation.
Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
Hey, if you liked the show today, be sure to hit like and subscribe and post your comments. Thanks so much for watching. Tampa 10 years ago is nothing like Tampa. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of State of Real Estate. I'm John Chrismo, and every Friday, 12 noon Eastern time, we come to you to change your business, to change your life, to change your focus. That's what we're talking about today. Upgrading your focus, taking your focus to the next level, or if you don't have any focus, we're going to get you some focus from today. So we talked about why you need to be doing this, and why you need to do this is because if you need to get to a certain place, you need to go straight there. You need to corral all your energy and push it in that one direction. That's what focus does for you. It takes your energy and it pushes you in that direction. So that's why you need to have focus, and why you need to avoid distractions, and why you don't want to multitask. You want to just focus on getting something done so you can put all your energy into one piece. So one more thing I wanted to touch on with John Smith here. He's got follow-ups and MLS searches and clients calling him. So the clients calling him, I mean, aside from working outside of normal time, that's something that's going to be difficult to kind of circumvent. If you're trying to get something done and you've got the phone ringing, you got to answer the phone. Unless you're going to hire an answering service or hire an assistant or hire somebody to answer that phone for you, until you can get to that level, you got to answer that phone because that's money on the phone. That's somebody with money that wants to exchange their money for your value. So you definitely got to answer that phone. No way to really get around that aside from, like I said, when you get to that next level there. And what we're talking about today, to focus, that's going to help you get you to that next level so you can make enough money to where you can afford somebody to answer the phone, or at least afford an answering service or something like that to get to this. So what I want to touch on now is just kind of structuring your day out. And this actually comes from, there's this article here from, Business Insider that I'd pulled up here. And there's some things that I really like on this and some of them that I totally just don't agree with. So we'll pick these apart and I'll give you my synopsis of which one of these I like and which one of these I do not like here. So you got to love this. You guys don't even have to read the articles. I'm reading the articles for you and giving you the insights you need on top of that. That's why you got to subscribe here. Make sure you're subscribed. Go to YouTube / Tampa School of Real Estate, or go on our Success Center on tampaschool.com. Make sure you're subscribed so you get these episodes every single week. So Business Insider, they've got this article, 15 ways to stay focused all day, according to, and this is the verifier here, according to scientists. So this is science. And a lot of people, they'll see this according to scientist title and think this is like the ultimate word here. But what you got to do whenever you're looking at information like this is you got to look at this and say, okay, is this something good or is this something I don't necessarily agree with? Because science has gotten it wrong ever since. Science wouldn't exist if they don't get things wrong. They get something wrong, then they go correct it, then they correct it again, and they correct it again, they correct it again. So, and there's actually a couple in here that even point that out. So first thing they've got listed, though, I've got no disagreement with, is to minimize multitasking. So going back to Josh here, where he's talking about he's got to do the MLS searches, he's got to follow up with clients. So my recommendation would, every single day, what you need to be doing is getting yourself a list. Get yourself a legal pad, get yourself a planner, get yourself a whiteboard, get yourself something where you can kind of sketch out the things it is that you need to do today. And I'm not an organized person. You might be saying, John, I'm not an organized person. I can't write all this stuff down and figure out times ever. Yes, you can. I'm probably the least organized person that's out there, arguably, but I could still be able to take these tasks that need to get done and say, okay, I'm going to work on this, then I'm going to work on this, and then I'm going to work on that. Because when you have these tasks that you could plan for, these things that you could plan for and that you could arrange in a certain way, you could sketch out your day for that. So maybe and definitely for doing follow-ups, you want to be intentional about the time of day you're calling somebody, because there's certain times of day where people will pick up their phone and certain times of the day where they're not going to pick up their phone. So you definitely want to sketch that out and schedule that out for a time where they're most likely to pick up on the phone, so that way you're not wasting your time following up with people, or if you're sending text messages or emails or whatever it is that you have to do. So Josh, so he's saying you have to multitask no matter what, and absolutely, because like I said, that phone rings, you're going to have to answer the phone, but what you want to do is try to minimize the multitasking, and that's even what this Business Insider article says here, is to minimize multitasking. You're going to have to do it sometimes, but when you're trying to get things done, you want to try to focus as much energy as you can in that one thing, have that burst of time working on this, and then change gears. So maybe doing the MLS searches, getting that all lined up, and what you could even do, if you're trying to, like, let's say you're trying to find some properties in there, and you want to have a personal touch each time you go through and you found these properties. So let's say you've gone through and you found some properties for a client, and then you want to go and say, hey, look, I found this property right here. I'm going to email it to you right now. That's a great way to make sure they open your emails. I mean, statistically, and if you're not tracking your email opens, you got to get a software that's going to allow you to track your email opens, because it's going to open your eyes as to how many people don't even check your emails. But something I'm going to tell you to make sure your emails do get open, that they do get read, that's actually not a waste of time sending that email, is by calling them or sending them a text message or something where they could get the message that saying that you are sending them that email. Now, rather than, and this is just a way you can kind of hack this here, rather than, let's say, doing a search for one client, calling that one client, doing a search for another client, calling that client, doing another search for one client, calling that client, do all your searches for let's say you've got 3 clients that you're trying to help out right now. Do your searches for those 3 clients, get those properties ready to send, and then take that first batch for your first client and now make your calls for those 3 clients. So you can see how you can kind of batch this stuff together. And this goes back to the invention of the modern assembly line. So you think of like how, and that's what you want to try to do with your business. And it's impossible to make it like to the degree of, the reference I want to use here is the Ford with the Model T. That was like the birth of this assembly line. And you went from making one car at a time by hand in just one car and perfecting it. Yes, you ended up with a quality product, but it took you months to build this vehicle. And what Ford with the Model T, they changed the game because they created this assembly line where one person's putting on tires, putting on tires, putting on tires, putting on tires, and that person could put on the tires really quickly. Now, as a one-man show, you could still do this assembly line type of thing, but first what you want to do, like I said, get those searches all together, get the properties lined up for your different clients, and that way you could go through and just call your client and say, hey, look, I went and did some searching and I found this property here I think you're really going to like. I'm going to email it to you right now. Are you in front of a computer? And then you do your talk with them, maybe schedule an appointment, and then hang up, and you're done. And then you go to your other properties that you found, and you already did the searching for this year. So again, you're trying to batch this stuff together. So you did the search, you found this property, now you call up the next client. You call up the next client right after you called the previous one, because again, you already did all the searching for the properties, and now you're trying to do all your phone calls together. And what would really be great, and this is the one that you probably have the least control over, is trying to schedule these appointments maybe one after the other. So you could have searching time, calling time, appointment time, and you're batching this all together. Yes, there's going to be things that are pulling you away, and yes, you're going to have some degree of multitasking, and that's why the real estate team concept has become very successful, because with that allows a whole structure structure of the organization to basically be able to the whole organization basically to multitask, where one person's working on this, one person's working on that, and that's how they're able to kind of maximize the efficiency. But you could do the same exact thing. Like I said, take those searches that you're doing, do all the searches, batch your work together is the key thing here. Do these things, then try to do these things, then try to do those things. But if you're trying to do this, again, you don't want to just be wandering through this stuff kind of here. You got to be intentional about it. You got to be intentional about, okay, I'm going to do the searches. I'm going to do the searches for these 5 different clients. Then I'm going to go through and call these 5 different clients and send each one the emails right there so they'll open my email. And I'm going to try to schedule appointments for tomorrow for all 5 of them. Or maybe, and again, you can't get the stars all to align. They're not all going to say, oh yes, that time that you've given me at this date and this specific location, that's perfect for me. And you're not going to get that 5 for 5. You might get a couple of them to line them up in a certain way. But again, you got to try with this. Try to focus as much as you can here. Your magnifying glass might have some cracks in it here and there for focusing your energy, but try to focus that as much as you can. Now this second one on this Business Insider article, I've tried before, but I have a hard time finding a time to actually do it. I liked it when I did it, but it's hard for me. So the second recommendation they have in here is to meditate. And so there's actually all kinds of studies that have been done, and actually even there's all kinds of meditation apps you get for your phone where you can basically, and you might be saying, well, how is sitting there doing nothing going to help you focus? It's actually pretty, so with the world that we live in, it's amazing how much distraction we get in the normal course of a day, whether it's online, seeing advertisements that pop up, and we've just became complacent where we almost don't even realize it consciously, but it's definitely hitting us subconsciously and causing distraction with us. So what meditation does, it's basically practicing this focus. It's practicing this focus. You sit there and, meditation, just to give you guys, if you've never tried meditation before or anything like that, I definitely say try it. I mean, I'd still like to find more time to do it, but it requires time to set aside to just do nothing, and that's hard for me to do nothing, but it is very practical if you're able to find time for us, because basically what you do is you sit there, you close your eyes, or maybe you don't close your eyes, but all you're trying to do is just clear your thoughts and not think about anything. Focusing just really the key thing here, and there's an app, I think it's called Meditation, so you just search for that if you want to try something like this, because that's how I started doing this. Again, I still don't do it because, like I said, I can't find time to just sit there. But what you're doing is you're just focusing on one thing. And when you're practicing focusing on one thing, when you're in a more complicated scenario, you've practiced. It's almost like being in a batting cage before you go out on the field. You're practicing your swing. Yeah, maybe it's not a real pitcher, but you've practiced this skill of focusing through meditating. So yeah, meditating, I would definitely recommend trying it. I mean, like I said, I find a hard time to, maybe you're doing this in the morning and that's when you're going to wake up and just sit there. I'd probably fall back to sleep if I tried to meditate like that in the morning, but it's definitely something, I don't disagree with that one, but I do think that's going to be a little bit harder to do and probably a little bit less effective than just minimizing multitasking altogether. So another one we got here, exercising regularly. I'm a big fan of this one. So exercising regularly, getting your blood flowing, and so you might wonder how this is going to help your focus. And this is kind of similar to meditation, because when you're exercising, you're probably just thinking, especially if you're exercising right, where you're like pushing yourself really to the limit and you're getting yourself up there to your like red line. And I'm talking about like whether it's strength training, and don't hurt yourself if you're strength training, or even with cardiovascular, don't like have a heart attack or anything like that. Check with your doctor before you do these exercising stuff. I think I got to say that to make sure you guys all don't be crazy out there. But basically, you're taking yourself to that limit, and when you're taking yourself to the red line, to the limit, to running as fast as you could run, biking as fast as you could bike, lifting as much weight as you could lift, you're probably not thinking about anything else other than what you're doing in that present moment. And that might not seem like a lot, but that's actually helping when you go down to do something that's maybe a little bit more mentally complex, giving you the power to do that. And sometimes just having the energy to focus on something, because when you need something that requires a lot of mental power, that could be difficult to actually focus on that if you're out of shape, if your blood sugar gets all like messed up and that has all kinds of spikes and things like that. Exercising, especially cardiovascular activity, it's great to do to really kind of flush everything out of your body and also help clear your mind. If you've got a lot on your mind, it's amazing what taking a bike ride, going on a run, or even just going on a walk. I mean, if you've never ran before, just go out there and start with a walk. Don't go kill yourself right away. Just get the blood flowing a little bit. So yeah, definitely recommend exercising regularly. Let's do one more here. We'll go and do a quick break. So establish a to-do list. So getting a to-do list, having yourself and so this one, the to-do list, yes. I would go so far. I'm not disagreeing with this one, but I would elaborate on this one further. What you should be doing every single day when you're kind of, like writing down your goals or trying to plan out what it is that your day, don't just come up with a to-do list. That, I think, yes, it'll help. It'll be better than doing nothing, but not just doing a to-do list, but figuring out, number one, first and foremost, what it is that you need to do, but then try to plan out when you could do those things, when it's going to be best to do those certain things. Because if you know going back to my grocery store example, if you know to get to the grocery store, you got to make a right turn, a left turn, and then a left turn again, that order kind of matters. So that order of doing this turn, then that turn, then that turn, that's kind of important. And it's the same thing a lot of times with some of these tasks. Maybe one task will lead into another, or maybe one task is going to be better at this certain amount of time. Maybe it's, let's see, we got a question here from Alan DiPaolo. I hope I'm saying that right there. How do you take your to-do list to a to-done list? I like that one. So, with your planning this out, with coming up with what it is that you need to do. So come up with the to-do list, number one. But number two, to turn this into a to-done list or done with list, basically, you find the time when it is that you're going to do that, and then you just do it at that certain amount of time. And I know it seems like an oversimplification, but Nike, they've made a whole brand around this whole just do it concept because it's a very powerful concept. And something to help you guys out, and I talked about this in the Staying Motivated episode last week as well. So something to help you out when it's something that you're maybe in like the analysis by paralysis where you're kind of like stuck, you know you need to do this thing, but you're kind of like staring over the edge of the cliff and like just kind of like, should I do it? Should I just go for it and do it? What you want to do, and this goes back to a book I mentioned called the 5-second rule. So the 5-second rule says that when you got something you need to do and you're being hesitant about actually doing it, just do a mental countdown, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, and you're doing it. That's part of the reason why we do these live streams every single week. So to give you this idea, so we've been doing video at the Tampa School of Real Estate probably for the past 2 years or so, and we've been trying to do video like this for probably the past 3 years. But we really didn't even start doing these live streams until maybe about are we almost 6 months into it? I think about 6 months ago we actually started doing live streams, and the reason why we do 2 live streams a week, so that's 2 hours out of the week, not even counting preparation and finishing this up afterwards of making these videos. But the reason why we do this live is because of that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. My cameraman's back there before we started. After every commercial break, he's back there counting me down, saying, okay, here we go, we're live. There's people tuning in, there's people watching, and that kind of is like, okay, here we go, I'm at the side of the cliff. I'm just being pushed over. So we tried making pre-recorded videos, but we would end up getting stuck with this here. We try to perfect the product and we try to make it as good as we can. The live stream, it's live. We know it's not going to be perfect, but we're making the videos, which is what's ultimately important. And now we've gone from having like 5 videos all the way up to, I think there's like over 100 videos that we have now from these different episodes, from even the pre-recorded stuff. We've amped that up a lot. So that whole 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 concept, the counting down and saying, okay, here we go, 1, 2, 3, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, and then just taking off and doing whatever it is you have to do. That's a huge thing. That it seems simple, but that's definitely going to help you get your to-do list turned into a done list. I like that wording, to Alan. Let's take one more question here. So Charles Neres, this is better training than office meeting. Yeah. So it's thank you so much, Charles. I'm glad you like this better than the office meeting. Sometimes the office meetings, let's keep this G-rated here. They're pretty unproductive. I mean, it's talking about things that maybe aren't helping your business, and that's what we're here to do every Friday, 12 noon Eastern time. Help grow, develop your business. Thank you guys for commenting. Thank you for tuning in. We're not done yet. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. You're watching State of Real Estate. 10 years ago is nothing like Tampa today. It's changed dramatically over those years, and that's what's really transitioned this to be the number one healthiest housing market in the entire nation. Tampa
Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
Hey, if you like the show today, be sure to hit like and subscribe and post your comments. Thanks so much for watching. Hey, welcome back to the final segment of this week's episode of State of Real Estate. Every Friday, 12 noon Eastern Time, we come to you to help you grow your business, to grow your life, to grow your career, to make the world a better place, because enough people grow their life, grow their business, grow their career. It's going to be a world of happier people that are more productive, more efficient, and that's my vision. That's the dream. Share the stream, share the dream. Make sure you're sharing, make sure you're subscribing, and thanks so much for liking and everything. We've got a lot of comments that have been coming in today, so if you guys do have some questions, put them in the comments. We've got about 10 minutes left or so to answer any questions you guys have, so definitely put those in the comments because I am watching those live on State of Real Estate. So I want to jump back into this article here because there's a couple things, and like I said, there's some of the things in here that I don't agree with, that I don't think are going to actually help you out in this, are things that I probably want to recommend. Maybe it works for you. This one says try a small amount of caffeine, and I've been telling you guys drink water, but this is probably my third cup of coffee today. So actually I think third. Yeah, that is third. That's number 3 here. So I like the caffeine. You probably noticed that I do talk a little bit quick. That's this little thing working right here for that here, but it does kind of help. Caffeine. They say the small amount here, but the reason why I have so much of this stuff is because I've came complacent with this, and I need more and more of it to get that same type of feeling. But having the caffeine helps give you a little bit more clarity and allow you to kind of think and at a little bit faster pace. So I would definitely recommend the caffeine. But where was the one in here? Oh, here we go. This is the one I do not agree with. Keep work at work. And there's actually where it says in this one here. So this whole concept of keeping work at work, throw it out the window. That's just terrible advice. If anyone ever says, when you're at work, you work. When you're at home, you're at home. That's like impossible, especially if you want to grow a successful business. I mean, if you've got some sort of job that you don't care about, yeah, keep work at work. Don't drag that into home. Don't talk about to your friends and family how much you hate your job. But if you're trying to grow your business and grow your life and grow your career, that business and your career, that's a big part of that. So when you're thinking about solutions to your problems, that could really be helpful. And yeah, I know you need maybe some sort of downtime or something like that, but especially when you find something that you really enjoy and that you really love, that's going to really give you energy, that motivation, that fuel going into the tank. That's going to allow you to do 60, 80-hour work weeks. And I mean, even when you're not necessarily at work or working. So and I've tried this. So I'm like a human guinea pig for certain things like this. I'm willing to try a lot of things. I'm never going to jump out of a perfectly good airplane. So I don't think I'm ever going to do skydiving or anything like that, or bungee jumping or things crazy like that. But when it comes to something like this, keeping work at work, I actually did try this, and I did this for maybe about, 6 months, 8 months maybe, something like that. But what I would find is I didn't really see any improvement. So the whole concept of keeping work at work is that when you're at work, when you're working, that makes you more productive while you're there. And I didn't really see that. I was sacrificing a lot of time where I wouldn't focus on this. And you know what actually happened with me? I think it actually made things it took me down in my potential, because what would happen when I would keep work at work and keep home at home, home wouldn't stay at home. Home would still creep its way into work. I'd be thinking about, maybe what I'm doing for dinner, or what fun thing you want to do on the weekend, or all kinds of things like that. So I would even venture to say this whole keeping work at work will make you more unproductive than actually helping you out. And they've actually even gotten here that in 2015, so I don't even know how old this article is here, but they said in 2015 they actually disproved this whole keeping work at work, keeping home at home. So even the scientist. That's how you know it's true. The scientist said you can't keep work at work and keep home at home. There's going to be some interlapping. So take advantage of that. You're going to be thinking about home when you're at work sometimes. So when you're at home, it's okay to think about work. I'm giving you permission for even when you're not at work to be at work. Even if your company that you're working for says, when you're at home, we don't want you thinking about work. We don't want you doing anything with work, so that way when you're here, you're going to be productive and you're going to be focused. And that's not going to happen. When people are at work, they're going to be thinking about their outside life. As much as they may love their job, as much as I love what I do, I'll still think of like personal matters and maybe what I'm getting my girlfriend for her birthday, or what I'm going to dinner or anything like that. And that happens when I'm at work, and that's okay for that to happen. And I offset that because when I'm at home, it'll be Sunday morning, and I'll be responding to emails. I'll be kind of hanging out, drinking my coffee, and I'll just be responding to some emails that I've gotten, or I'll be just kind of thinking about new ways, even if it's just thinking about how to take your business to the next level, how to shape your business and move it into the right direction. There, I would say that's okay. And you don't want to be working 24/7. You definitely need a little bit of downtime probably to make sure that you are reset and whatnot. But I'm not. You don't need to be like anytime after you're working or on the weekends that you're not answering your phone. And as a realtor, or really any business that relies on somebody calling you for potential future business, you want to answer that phone call. Don't let it go to voicemail. Don't let it go to your answering service. If you're available to answer it, you answer it, even if that means you got to step away from a dinner or anything like that. It just comes down to how much you want to focus and how bad it is that you want to, and how quickly you want to get to that end goal. So I got another comment here from Charles. Keeping work at work is like saying fake it till you make it, which I never believed in. Just saying, yeah. So people pick up on like the non-genuineness with that. And and this will go a long way with your clients. When you tell your clients, hey, look, you call me anytime. Don't wake me up in the middle of the night, but you want to call me, I'm up at like 5 a.m. So you think you see a property you like, call me that morning. I'll try to get something set up. Maybe we could check it out that day. When you're genuine and honest like that, especially when you're living that life, that comes across to people. So if you want to not fake it till you make it, if you want to actually be a genuine person, and so especially with real estate, and this is a thing I get like from a lot of the new agents that I've worked with, they're like, well, should I tell people that I've been in real estate longer? No, you don't need to lie about this stuff. You don't need to make up stories and try to deceive them, because when they find out you were lying to them, that's going to hurt you bad, not only with your relationship with them, but everyone it is that they talk to, all of their friends and family. So I'm not big into the whole fake it till you make it type of thing, but I am big on doing the necessary actions of what that looks like, that end goal actually looks like. So at the beginning of this episode, I said I don't like the dream boards. I don't believe in doing the dream boards and things like that, just because I get too distracted by things like that. But when you're thinking, you definitely want to know what that end goal actually looks like, because what you'd have to do here is reverse engineer this. Say, okay, I want to be a top producing agent. I want to sell, and we've done episodes before about basically using how much commission money it is you want to make to reverse engineer how many clients it is that you need to talk to, because you need to know what actions it takes and what that actually looks like when you're at that end goal. And if you want to be a top producing agent, let me tell you, top producing agents aren't working at work and staying home at home and not letting the two cross over with each other. They're thinking about how to take their business to the next level every single day. They're constantly thinking of, okay, what can I do better? How can I fix this process? How can I optimize and make this more efficient, and so on and so forth? How can I get leads better? They're constantly thinking about these things, and it's okay to have those thoughts. These are not bad thoughts. These are good thoughts. And when you're actually taking these these times away, even if it's when you're at work, if you go for like a walk or something like that, because maybe you're not feeling motivated, just go on a walk and like kind of get the blood flowing, and start thinking about these things a little bit more, because that'll definitely help you increase this overall. So I think that's pretty much everything I've got for you guys today. to help you stay focused. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for liking. Thanks for commenting. And you know, thanks for tuning in. I know that this definitely, you might feel odd for me thanking you, because hopefully you guys are taking something away from this episode. I hope you really are as well. I mean, that's the goal here. Aside from the advertisements we're playing in between these little segments here, the goal here is to help you guys grow your business, or maybe help you start a business, jumpstart a business. I love helping people start businesses to help take their entrepreneurship to another level, and that's why we do these shows here every Friday, 12 noon Eastern time. So make sure you subscribe, because we're going to be doing another episode next Friday at 12 noon Eastern time. We also do Ask the Instructor Wednesdays at 12 noon, and that's talking about the technical side, understanding the tactical, strategic part of your business, and so on and so forth. So make sure you subscribe, because we do both of those business episodes that'll help you grow your business and understand the real estate industry. And these are all free. They're available for free. You can even go watch all the previous episodes. We've decided to leave these up here because I get people all the time telling me, John, why do you put all this stuff out there for free? You should be charging money for this. And I probably could charge money for this here, but you know, I believe in the disproportional type of value. I want to give you guys more value for free than you would be able to actually to pay for with that. And that's what we're trying to do every week with these shows. So make sure you subscribe, especially if you're in the real estate industry. I guarantee you, watching these shows every week, you watch these shows every day, every week for a year, you're going to be in an entirely different place than you are today. That's the goal here on State of Real Estate. I'm John Chrismo. Show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. Make sure you check out all the links and the phone numbers and all that other good stuff we've got down below here if you need us to help you out in any way that we can. Make sure you give us a call. Make sure you check out the website. But other than that, again, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys next week, next Friday at 12 noon Eastern time for State of Real Estate. Tampa 10 years ago is nothing like Tampa today. It's changed dramatically over those years, and that's what's really transitioning this to be the number one healthiest housing market in the entire nation.
Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
Hey, if you liked the show today, be sure to hit like and subscribe and post your comments. Thanks so much for watching.